full disclosure, I haven't sat down in a while and played, so if I screw anything up today, I apologize. So we got so I'm going to do something a little bit different than what everyone else is doing, because I'm not necessarily working on just one thing. I'm working on a bunch of things at the same time, and they all surround the school. So what I'm going to do differently is, instead of playing scales, like and I could do that. But you know, I'd rather do something else. And what I'm gonna do is basically go through some of the songs that I posted, kind of explain how the songs changed when they came to the school and how they got better, really. And I'm gonna start with one of the simpler ones that's not really, I'm not even 100% sure if it follows the same rhythm pattern that the scale is used on it, with the chord progressions. But when I rewrote these songs to the theory that I started to learn, instead of just playing the way that I played them before, which honestly this one wasn't much different, I just added this name of the scale that I noticed the most being used in it, which was G minor, which was ironic because back in the beginning, G minor was the scale that I learned in the beginning. And Jack told me, you shouldn't try to learn all of these at the same time, you should just focus on one scale. And because I just did an improv in G minor, and I really liked that improv, it was to I think it was to a Pink Floyd backtrack, and I go back and I listen to that one, and that one's one of my favorites in the first year. So I took the song, and basically what I played in the beginning there is actually the bass line that is in the beginning, which is basically the main riff of the song. Because it goes, I'm going to play the whole thing afterwards all at once, standing up to the metronome, but everything else is going to be without the metronome. And I'll do my best to stay and explain everything that I was thinking at the time. And this one just was basically, I thought of a riff, and it was drums. It used to be just a drum beat. I made a really cool drum beat on Guitar Pro. It's for all these first 11 songs, with the exception of Self-Redemption, which I wrote. It's the only song out of the first 11 on my first album that was written kinda at the time of the school, but the actual intro, that one, which is in drop C, not D standard, it's I never could play that before until like 6 months ago, just letting you know. I used to do it like this. Which is just it's just ridiculously harder to play because it's all downstrokes. And I would do this take over and over again, and I could not do it right. And then I went to the lessons for years. But anyways, that part was written on Guitar Pro, along with everything else, and I just didn't like it, I guess. So I kind of made it into something else, which was I just took that part and just did that and made a solo to go with it and wrote lyrics and whatnot. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, and definitely one of the most positive. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about, this one's called Repeating Cycle, and it's ironic that the name is Repeating Cycle because that riff repeats continuously through the whole song, which is, you know, I just watched the breakdown because I've been going through the breakdowns recently after bringing them up in the City of Evil thread. They were doing Shepherd of Fire, and you know, the riff of that song is played throughout the song everywhere, except for I think the solo, because I think they do. I think so. I can't remember. But anyways, that's the breakdown solo is the only time I don't actually play that riff. But I kind of alternate it throughout the whole entire thing. And I play it differently every single time. And that's what makes this song interesting to me. The song that this was based off of was Afterlife. And I'll kind of explain where the comparison comes into play. But basically, that was the intro that I played earlier. This is Member on a bass. And then it's 11:48, so I can't turn it up anymore here, I think. And then it just goes right into the actual riff. There's your riff, right? Then we go into the verse. And basically, what that part is, the comparison that I get was you know, that part of the song. That's kind of what I compared the verse to. And then, you know, you could tell that this song was written around the time the self-title came out because this part comes up. And, you know, it's the slides. And then the actual, there's two parts to this, right? So I'll play the rhythm, which is the slides. So. And then how do you go into the chorus? You fucking go hard. The chorus. Oops, I fucked it up. Let's do that again. So, I really like the song Remissions. that's where that came from. So basically, the entire song so far has just been that one riff, played 3 different times. And then a random pre-chorus of slides, which to me reminds me of except, you know, I'm not even close to the right tuning with Scream. So, lots of Avenged in there. So, over this verse, there's a really cool melody that I made up, and you know, I think the melody is where I got G minor from for the scale, as opposed to anything else in the song, because so far there's not really a chord progression at all going on in this song. I have used 3 chords, and I just used them in one area. The intro, you know, I normally play the bends, as opposed to playing the power chords. I only play the power chords in the chorus. So I kind of wanted to stick to bends and stuff, because I'm a one guitar guy, right? So if I'm not going to be playing power chords, I'm probably going to be, you know, playing some simple melodies and stuff like that, so that I can make a riff. But you know, you don't want to make a solo out of the riff right away, right? You want to do that usually later on in the song. So I like bending and stuff like that. And I think the bending that you hear is very Alice in Chains influenced from Jerry Cantrell. I'm not in the right tune, but right, I think it's this. Hang on. Trying to think here. It ain't like that anymore. That's what that song is. Anyways, I love Alice in Chains, and I feel like that's where a lot of my bends come from. But yeah. Anyways, that melody I was talking about that I play, you know, I love my Sustainiac. This song is written on Guitar Pro, right? And I didn't even know the Sustainiac existed until, like, I think 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago. And, you know, I've always listened to Sin stuff, and I always was like, you know, in Gunslinger, he's got this crazy feedback going, and how is he doing it? You know, I could never figure it out. I was like, I got my chorus, and it sounds good with chorus, and it sounds good with reverb, but what does it actually, like, what is he actually using? And obviously he's using this Sustainiac and just playing in the Sustainiac on his guitar. And that's where I bought this guitar from. My first guitar didn't have that, but it had the Floyd Rose, right? So now, going forward, you know, when I buy I don't know if you've been following, but Schecter's bringing Avenger models back by the sounds of it. So I'm definitely going to get one with the Sustainiac. But I still am looking, and I actually messaged a guy on Reverb that is selling the Revenger for like $472 Canadian. And that's cheaper than what I was going to buy off the other guy who just for some reason he's selling out the guitars in Schecter. He doesn't want to get back to me. I don't think I believe his story, but yeah, so that melody I'm talking about. Let's go back to the melody. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chorus, and there's actually a duet here that's played, but it builds into the duet, and if you listen to the actual recording, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is actually one of the most difficult things that I play, because a lot of my alternate picking in the most part is all on one string. Like, let's hope I'm not too loud here. It's all on one string, right? You know, but when I go from string to string, that's the difference. And this isn't a triplet. It's not a triplet at all. They're eight. I think they're eights. I think that's what they were on Guitar Pro. But I don't think I play it in the same time. I play a song at 180 beats a minute, which would also be 90 or 45. Depending on how you set your metronome, that's how you would want to play it. So we got the one thing I like about this song is the entire song is played in the bridge. It's one of the first songs that I played in the bridge as opposed to the neck pickup, where it's a lot cleaner. And I think that's why I had a hard time learning this, because it was way incredibly advanced for what I was doing. But basically, I'm just going to play the whole thing and try not to fuck it up. I might play it a little bit slower. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll play it a little bit slower. So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the riff and the verse, where everything is the same up to the first slide. The hardest part about that is I go from 2 on one string to 3 on one string and 1 down, and then I go, it's a motif. One of my fingers. I'll tell you that harmonic there was 100% my mistake. There we go. That is a lick that I still need to practice all the time. And I don't practice my own songs enough, I'll admit it. Because there's so much theory to learn that usually I write new music, and then when I come back to the old stuff too, it's easier to play it. It's kind of funny how it works that way. But anyways, that's the beginning. That's the first slide, right? And that's over, like that is all over just. See, a lot of the times I just turn them into I always make that one a pull off, right? It's definitely my hardest melody that I have, and that's just the first part. That's the funny part, right? So remember, I said this would be a duet. This is in the left speaker. While we're the second time, right? And I was like, all right, let's go to the next position, right? What can we do? I went up. what's the most cliche thing to do, right? Coming back down, right? So I fucked it up with like I said, it's one of the hardest melodies I have because I can never play it right. That's one of those ones where I do it like in 75 takes. But yeah, that's it. It's because I've been learning to teach myself to use the pinky. I could do it this way probably. That's it. But I don't want to learn how to do it that way, right? I want to do it this way. Alright, so we did one motif. Then we came back down. Well, let's go back to the motif, but this is where I make it a duet. And the second time around, that's in the left speaker, right? This one. So I gotta think about this for a second. Is it that? Or do I bring it back up one more? Yeah, it's definitely right there. That's definitely in the right speaker, that one there. And then remember when we do the breakdown? Into the chorus. That's played twice in the chorus. Because you don't want to get too boring, but you also don't want to keep playing the same riff over and over again before starting the song over, right? So at that point, I repeat the entire thing twice, all the way back to the main riff after the bass. So that entire part is repeated twice. And then, as I said, it's not really, so far, there's not really anything to base the scale off of except for two licks. And these are the 2 licks. So what I'm actually doing there is I'm hitting every note twice except for 2. So this one here. I think sometimes I hit this one twice too, and sometimes I don't. The faster I play it, I do it once, because it sounds better. So, everything is alternate pick, or, yeah, I think it's alternate pick. So, when I was going through all my scales, because after I learned G minor, I decided to write every single scale down. I'm sure in the screen everything is backwards, so you're not going to be able to read that. But yeah, I got all my major scales written down, and then I went ahead and did the minor ones. ones too, right? There's the minor ones. And so I looked at them and I looked at all the notes, and there's no chords here, it's just all numbers. They're all and guitar is essentially patterns, and this is how I figure out my patterns, is by writing them down. And I was like, okay, so which notes am I using here, right? I'm using, clearly, I'm just gonna go by numbers. 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 3, 5, 3, 5. That part was never changed. Like, this song, nothing in the main riff and melody was changed. The only thing that was changed was the solo. And we'll get to that in a bit, but that's the first riff that comes up, right, in the chorus that really shows the scale. And the other one is obviously the duet. And the left side, that was never changed. So I looked it up, right? And surprisingly, the entire song fit G minor. Like all the melodies and everything. I think the right guitar I modified to be, what was that? Is that the third? Am I doing the third here? Yeah, no, that's the fourth, right? It's gotta be a perfect fourth then, right? Almost. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's a fourth. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle, right? It wouldn't be perfect though, because it's not exact. But anyways, so I'm playing fourths in the right speaker of the duet. And going into the chorus, obviously what you heard was I just kept repeating the beginning of the melody. And then it just builds, right? So you're building into the sustainiac there in that duet. And it's I didn't get the sustainiac just because Sin had it. At that point, I just realized that Sin had it, and everything made sense. And basically, what I would do on Guitar Pro was I would make the note literally a harmonic, because you can, because it's Guitar Pro and it plays back what you tab, right? So I was like, natural harmonic up here, right? It's not a pinch harmonic, it's a natural harmonic. How do you do that, right? Like how do you or even like how do you pinch halfway up there, right? Like some people like me couldn't figure out that you just move your hand along the bridge pickup or whatever, right? That's all you do, right? You just move back and forth. But I didn't figure that out, right? So I'm always like, how do I do this, right? How do I make these notes, right? And then I found out about the sustainiac, which literally does that. It changes your note into the harmonic. So everything I did on Guitar Pro made sense, and I could play it because I just had to turn the sustainiac on. So that's what I would do in my melodies. They would explode into the sustainiac in some of my songs off of this record. And anyways, those two melodies in the end fit G minor perfect. And funny part too, so did that. That was all not changed. So when I went to the solo, which is what we're coming to now, like we're coming to the breakdown, right? So notice I repeated that twice, right? We repeated the riff sequence twice. So we're gonna go right at the end. What note should I start on, right? For the breakdown. I'll tell you, when I wrote this on Guitar Pro, I did this one step higher. Right? I did up here. Yeah, I did up here. This is how it sounded in the beginning. what? When I wrote this song, when I came back to the school, I made the recording, right? And I had all the solos and everything all written out. I actually have really old videos on Facebook that show how I played these songs before. And they're completely different. And the solos, probably, I haven't even gone back to listen to them since I posted them and gone to this school and modified everything into scales. So, maybe I should go back and do a comparison video. But yeah, I made the video, right, and I linked it to my brother, and he mentioned that he liked the breakdown, which is what that is. It's a breakdown, but he just didn't think it was heavy enough, right? And I was like, well, how do you make something sound heavier, right? Maybe you bring it down a step, right? So that's what I did. I took it from there and I brought it down here, and then because I had the theory at that point, this has nothing to do with the song. And what did I play this chord or anything in the song? I didn't, right? So I said, okay, let's modify the chord progression to fit the scale then. And this just sounded natural to add. Right? Because the entire pre-chorus is that, right? It just made sense. So the next part that I play, I think was exactly the same. Except for I played it a step higher, but I'm not going to play that part higher because it doesn't matter anymore because I changed it. Right, so. So that's the breakdown in its entirety. So I basically hug the riff in full chords, and then I drop it down a step, and then I slowly play my way down to open. I like descending a lot, I find, in my progressions. So I think this was the first song that I started doing that in. But anyways, the solo of the song is kind of under the same. I'm not going to play the solo rhythm part because quite honestly it's the same thing, except for there's one part in the beginning that's added where I just palm mute the chord progression before exploding back into the part where I come back down, but it doesn't really matter because it's not important. The important part is the solo. And the solo, I played differently as well because I played notes that were in G minor the original way. I remember in the beginning I did it like this, something like this. So, one thing I really liked on the self-entitled album was Almost Easy. And Almost Easy has a really cool melody in it in the solo after he sweeps near the end there, where he goes and that's where that part comes from. I think kind of it's where I started doing these bends, and I used to do it with just my index finger, and it's still a bad habit because these two fingers are my strongest bend fingers, and I'm still getting these two better at bending. But it would be I'm essentially using my wrist more than my finger. I'm doing the wrist bend. It's the wrist bend that I was just telling you about. But now I play more like. I can still move my wrist too, right? But it's supposed to be a full bend, and it normally is. And that's why bending became so easy to me. If you want to know how a pre-bend or a bend sounds, get Guitar Pro or any tabbing program that will play it back to you and tab out what you want to play. And it will play it back to you exactly how it's supposed to sound. And you can sit there and do it along with it. And I think it'll really help you out. So, let's go back to the solo here. So, the cool thing about this solo is, I add a little bit to it. Because I started up here on this note, and I decided to instead do, I didn't want to do this. I didn't like that sound, so I brought it down a step, and I started it here instead. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this slow. I'm going to try. Mainly because I don't play it enough, so this is one of my solos that I still struggle with some parts. Because sometimes I can't remember what I actually wrote. You have to relearn your old solos. But at least they're not as hard as MIA. So one thing I like to do in my motifs is I like to go up, and then I like to come back down with the same starting point, which is what I did there. See, I used one finger again. That's right there is why I didn't want to do this here. Because listen to how it would have sounded. So I do it a second time because I have so much fun playing these. Except I come up a little bit higher. So I know Sin, when he plays the almost easy solo, he does that same pen twice. Do 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 do. So that's kind of what I was thinking there. I was like, oh, I want to do it again, right? And then it gets into alternate picking. I'm wrong. There's another part. So, remember I said in the beginning there was going to be a palm mute part? The palm mute part, I kind of repeat that part again, but a little bit different. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. So I changed that. Now I'm bending on this string instead. I added that melody into my solo. So I tried to make the solo fit the song, right? And I'm like, how do I do that, right? That's how I did it. And then, as I'm coming back down, I'm like, alright, let's explode into the solo, right? Like, let's actually start doing some crazy stuff. All I've been doing is simple stuff, right? So, I think I end on this note right here in the recording. Yeah. So that's the solo, and in the solo, it's all now played in G minor, but before, I don't even remember what I was playing, because I don't think I played the same thing every single time. So, but a thing I learned from Mick Mars is you don't have to play it the same way every single time, as long as it sounds good every single time. So there are certain solos that he openly says, 10 Seconds to Love, he would play a little bit different every single night. So that solo is played over the entire breakdown progression. So the timing, I think, obviously I wasn't playing exactly the timing. When I turn on the metronome here and play it, you'll hear everything together, and maybe it will sound better in timing. But I'm gonna set the metronome to 180 here quickly. I don't think I need it any louder than this, right? It's not that loud. Okay, so fuck the chair. share. Not perfect. You understand. roots, the chord. So that's it. That's Repeating Cycle. The lyrics of that song essentially is about the constant struggles you go through in life and how they always seem to repeat themselves over and over and over and over again. So I felt like it was really fitting, considering the riff is played over and over and over and over again. If you would like, I will do more of my songs. As to the techniques used in the entire song, obviously I'm bending a lot. You know, we got, I think these are half bends to 5. Or is that it's a half bend. Which is funny because this chord, it's not played in the entire song. But that seems to be where the bend wants to go when I play it. So it's kind of theoretically, you would think the breakdown would start right there. Yeah, it's kind of funny how you notice things before. But yeah, so bending's a lot in here. We got alternate picking. Fast alternate picking too, like that's done at 180 beats a minute. I don't even think I can play it at 90. Hang on. Remember, it's over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think those are 16th notes. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16. So definitely one of my hardest melodies to play due to the amount of string skipping every 2 notes. That's the hardest one because I always want to hit this string because that's all I do in the rest of it. I need to change my strings, they're getting rusty and disgusting. Maybe we'll do that, a video on that next. Yeah, I got time, maybe, we'll see. Let's see, what other ones do we got? I got I think, half the time. I'm sliding up to that. I think a lot of the times I'm sliding up to that one. And then the massive alternate picking part that you hear. So a lot of these solos that I play with 3 fingers still, just due to muscle memory. And up here, I find I can shred faster with 3 fingers than 4 if I'm doing triplets. Unless I'm doing more complicated triplets. You know, I can't really, if I'm down here, obviously I can't go. That just doesn't make sense. But anyways. So I'm shredding, basically I'm going up scale and back. I'm basically doing exactly what I did. I'm just alternate picking the same melody. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing is I'm turning the melody into 3 notes per note. And then I decide to repeat it again because, you know, in the actual so that's where we are, right here. That is and then you go up to the next one, you know. You're going down here, so I start going up, which is, you know, one thing that I've gotten really, that I've noticed in my playing is I used to continue to go this way on one string, but what I've noticed is because these 2 strings are only 4 apart, it makes more sense to do the next run here than here, right? So the first time I did it here, right? So I decided to repeat that part again, you know, I alternate picked it again, but the next part I did the same thing, but I did it up here. And instead of going down, I went up. And then the very end of that solo is just, I think it's, I just do hammer-ons in that part because it's an alternate part that I never was good at before, but I like the sound of the hammer-ons there. I like it better as hammer-ons. So that's what I do there, I do hammer-ons. So that's it for technique. And like I said, it's all, this particular song, I would say is in the G minor scale. I did not mean for this to be an hour, but this video ended up being an hour. So I promise the next few videos that I do with my songs will not be an hour, but while this uploads, I'm going to, I think I'm going to change my strings. So if you like this video, just let me know, and I will show you some of the other, and how I wrote some of the other songs too, for people who are thinking about songwriting and just not knowing what to do, like, because, you know, how do you write music, right? That's the hard part. Let me know.